How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about DC's The Doomed and the Damned. This is an 80-page giant 10-twisted team-up straight from your nightmares. You get this nice cover with Wonder Woman, Batman, and Man-Bat on the front, and a big giant zombie face behind them. This is 80 pages, so it's somewhere between a graphic novel and a comic book, so you can put this in a bag and board. It will just barely fit. You can put it with your comic books, or you can slide it in with your graphic novels and just have it be really thin. Anyway, there's the DC green smog and bats, and you can see this was at the new comic book shops. It's going to be $9.99. So $9.99's a bit, but when you're getting 80 pages, that's actually quite fair, and there's no ads shoved in the middle of this book, too. Anyway, flipping to the credits, credit where credit is due. Let me make sure you guys are in focus enough. Alright, Grief's Quiet Name, Urban Legends, Shadow over Coast City, Inner Demons, 7 Days, From Humble Roots, The Hunt, Follow the Water, Beast Boys to Men, and Baitor vs. Darkseid. Now, if you look at the front, it says 10 Twisted Team-Ups. That's mostly true, but not quite. The Batman story, you can say Batman's teaming up with this random kid. The Ra's al Ghul story, it says Solomon Grundy and Ra's al Ghul. They're fighting each other. Ra's al Ghul's really just teaming up with his daughter. And Baitor versus Darkseid, that's really a versus thing. I guess you could say some of the people Darkseid's against are teamed up, but not really a team-up story there. So it fits for the most part, and it does pull some really cool characters out and do some cool crossovers, but not every story 100% fits that team-up logo, but hey, they're still pretty cool. Open it up with Grief's Quiet Name. You get Madame Xanadu and Man-Bat, and they're following this this ghost that Madame Xanadu can see, but Man-Bat can't. She's bringing him along because he needs because she needs some muscle. Now, I must admit, I guess I'm not fully caught up in all the comics because I didn't know. Apparently, Man-Bat's good and sane as Man-Bat, not just flying around all mad. And he's a good guy now, so that's cool. But yeah, they're following this ghost and trying to see how they can bring it to peace. It was a fun, spooky story, although it does rely a lot on modern continuity, so if you're not 100% on that, you might wonder a little bit about some stuff. Up next, the best story of the bunch, Urban Legends with Batman in it. And I love this art. Look at all this cool shading and detail there. This is really, really good art on this story. But anyway, this kid, his brother is sick, and Batman appears to him in this big old tree and asks him some questions. And he said that if you say the name Mr. Slow Death 5 times in this mirror, it's going to summon Mr. Slow Death. So Batman shows up to try to figure out what's wrong, and I guess it's only 3 times. Batman shows up to figure out what's wrong, and the kid shows up again to help him. And it's fun to see Batman taking on this curse urban legend type thing, but breaking it down the way Batman does, thinking about it scientifically and figuring out how to beat this monster. Really cool monster. Urban legend's a great idea, and overall, great story. Loved it. This next story, you get Green Lantern fighting this big monster that's turning people into other monsters, and he saves this guy in a tuxedo. But it's not just some guy in the crowd. It turns out to be the host of Etrigan the Rhymer. And you see, Green Lantern wants this guy because he's a villain that escaped Oa. He's a space villain. But Etrigan says that he's originally from Hell and that it's his jurisdiction. So the two do fight over who gets to be the one to take this guy in. A fun story, and I really do love the colors in this issue. Green Lantern's powers are all light-based, so I feel like you gotta have a really good, bright colorist. You know, you gotta have the artwork really feel like it's shining, and this artwork really does that. I love the art and the colors in this one. The colors are really, really cool, bright, and really cool colors, fun. Swiftly along, you get Wonder Woman tracking down this serial killer in a kind of grungy neighborhood, and the serial killer actually turns out to be someone possessed by a demon. They fight, and you see this story has some influence from The Exorcist, and then eventually Raven shows up, and I don't think these characters really get to talk to each other too much, so it is really fun to see them team up in the story. A pretty good creepy demon story, although there is one thing that Wonder Woman does towards the end that I'm like, that's kind of a bad move, but I guess it made sense in context. But overall, pretty good. Then we have the story with Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, and Solomon Grundy. So apparently Ra's is having some problems with his Lazarus pit, and he's trying to borrow Grundy's rebirth power to help him stay alive for even longer. And it's pretty cool, and of course he needs Talia there for some reason. I like the characters and I like the story's idea better than its writing. It's got a lot of expository dialogue and some elements that just don't make sense. For example, Ra's says, you remind me of this poem about Solomon Grundy. I'm going to call you Solomon Grundy. And I'm like, wait, that's always been the character's name, though. And I was like, is this beforehand? Like, was this way long ago and they set it up there? But no, like, even in the comic itself, there's his tombstone and it says Solomon Grundy on it right there. I don't know what Ra's was on about when he said, I'm gonna name you Solomon Grundy. That was his name. Am I missing something? I don't know. And of course, each page you get part of the Solomon Grundy rhyme there. Pretty cool, but they do that a lot with Solomon Grundy stories. But I like the characters and I like the concept for this story, but the writing just seemed a little plain. I don't know, just lots of exposition and a few things that didn't make sense. Up next, from Humble Roots, you get this Superman and Swamp Thing story. Superman, as Clark Kent, shows up to investigate this farm with healthy fruits and vegetables, but a few people have been getting sick from it. So he's there as an investigative reporter, but knowing that it's plants, he brings along this little lapel that connects him to the greens so that Swamp Thing can listen in on his investigation. And I really do like the quite clever use of sneaking Swamp Thing in there, because he's not very inconspicuous in his main form. Now, I don't want to spoil the villain for you, so I can't show you too much of this. But there's Swamp Thing and Superman. They come back to do a bigger investigation, and the villains, it's a clever and unique use of this villain, and I do really like the end of this story. You get to see the writer really understands both the Superman and Swamp Thing characters. A really fun end to the story. I really like this one, but of course, I'm also a big fan of Superman and Swamp Thing, and it's really cool to see them team up together. So yeah, an interesting take on this villain and a cool use of the heroes. Up next, we get a story of these traffickers are trying to sneak children into Gotham, and Cassandra Cain shows up to beat them up. Cassandra Cain was one of the later Batgirls, but when they did the New 52, they erased her from continuity when they wrote her back in, since Barbara Gordon was Batgirl now. She had to get her own identity, so she is now known as Orphan, and she has this really cool costume that's just reminiscent enough of her original Batgirl costume, but also does its own thing with this cool hood and these orange lines. I really do like this take on Cassandra Cain's costume there. But anyway, she's beating these human traffickers up, and then eventually this new character shows up, Orca, who is a big half human, half orca, a humanoid orca monster, really a big and strong character. I don't really know too much about her, but it's cool and fun to see her show up. This story has a really good classic Gotham comics feel, where it's really dark and grungy and, crime and stuff. a really good classic Gotham story, and it's good to see Cassandra Cain again. I'm glad they picked her, need more stuff with her. Anyway, you're doing a Halloween special. Who do you need to show up? You gotta do a Frankenstein story. This next story, you get Frankenstein, and yes, they do call him Frankenstein. I know people in the comments are gonna want to put, but it's the doctor is Frankenstein. They probably share my view that if he's the son, he should get the father's last name, but they call him Frankenstein in the book. But anyway, Frankenstein shows up. He's doing this autopsy on this Atlantean that for some reason teleported to Mars and died of asphyxiation. And Aquaman shows up. He can't get a babysitter, so his newborn baby girl is coming with him, and they have to solve the mystery of this Atlantean's death. And it's kind of funny to see Aquaman being a goofy father there. But yeah, fun to see Aquaman, fun to see Frankenstein, and this kind of makes me want to go back. I never read the Frankenstein and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. book, but maybe I should, because I always like Frankenstein when he shows up in various stories there. So that's the Frankenstein story. Moving along, this next story, Beast Boy and Raven are on a date, and you get this other character, not 100% sure how to pronounce it, Clarion? The Witch Boy, and he is super jealous that Raven has chosen Beast Boy instead of him, and that for some reason sets his cat off there. And the cat decides to kidnap Raven. So the cat takes Raven away, and Beast Boy and Clarion have to team up to save her. And I really do like seeing Beast Boy and Raven. They're really fun Teen Titans characters. The Witch Boy character, not the biggest fan of Clarion. He's a little annoying in this story, but overall, a pretty fun story, and great to see these characters. It's kind of funny how some people, when people on the internet first started saying, oh, Beast Boy and Raven should be together, people were like, what? But now it's the canon couple there. Anyway, one more story to go, and this is Baitor versus Darkseid. Darkseid trying to mind his business, drinking at this bar here, and some people go up to him and say, hey, do you know Baitor, the bartender? And he's like, oh no, I don't really know those people, because he's from Apocalypse and not Hell. And they're like, oh, those people. And this guy with a cell phone starts trying to harass him, and they're saying they're going to cancel him for being prejudiced towards the people of Hell. And yeah, so this is actually a comedy story. When I first saw this, I thought, ooh, Darkseid is going to be a big epic, but it's actually Darkseid in a comedy about cancel culture, which is kind of weird, Darkseid being in a comedy, but also being a current event. Anyway, they challenge him to a drinking contest between him and Baitor there, and I really do like Jack Kirby's Old God's Brew Tennessee Whiskey, so instead of Jack Daniels, it's Jack Kirby's. I thought that was a funny take on it. But yeah, really cool to see more of Darkseid, and especially in a different style than he's normally in, although some people won't like him being in a comedy, I'm sure. And I do have to show this panel really quick. They're all encouraging him to drink, and then they got a little Batman coming in the bar for no reason going, drink, drink, drink. I'm like, okay, that's a funny use of Batman there. That caught me off guard. But anyway, yeah, a fun, weird little comedy story with Darkseid at the end. There's the final credits there. And apparently is made with sustainable paper, so that's cool. But anyway, a fun story. And I reviewed the Swamp Thing Halloween special last time, and this one, I will say it stays more on the spooky story topic. The Swamp Thing one would kind of go its own way and is more history adventures. These are all spooky, haunted stories, and I really did like them all. Now, they are really quick and bite-sized, so if you want something deeper to sink your teeth into, that's not really this. But if you like, fun little stories, this is fun and very Halloween-y, very dark, spooky, and fun. overall, I really like this as a good Halloween special. 10 spooky stories. Anyway, that being said, I do a comic a week on here, so if you want to stick around, I'll have more comics. I'll put a playlist at the end of the video to all my comics that I've reviewed here. Anyway, other than comics, I do about 95% horror on this channel. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I definitely recommend sticking around. To everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching, and to everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping this channel out. I'll see you guys again very, very soon, and of course, comics playlist at the bottom there. Have a good day, and I'll see you again soon.